The rain had been falling relentlessly for days when Jonah arrived at the abandoned estate on the edge of town, a crumbling mansion swallowed by an ancient, gnarled forest. The locals spoke in hushed tones about an ever-present force lurking among the decaying walls, a presence they simply whispered of as the Entity. With little more than his determination and the gnawing curiosity of a man chasing his own restless nightmares, Jonah stepped through the creaking iron gates and into a world where every shadow hinted at lurking dread. Inside the mansion, the silence was heavy, like a weight pressing against the soul. Every step echoed in the vast, empty halls, stirring dust and memories of sorrow. Faded portraits stared blankly from peeling walls as if they, too, feared the unknown resident. The air seemed to shiver with secrets, whispering evasive warnings that brushed against the edge of sanity. Jonah's footsteps faltered as he noticed subtle signs. A door ajar that he was sure had been closed moments before, a muffled cry in the distance that vanished before his ears could fully grasp it. In the solitude of a long-forgotten library, Jonah discovered scattered diaries and cryptic sketches. Their pages recounted experiences not unlike his own, a history of inexplicable sounds in the night, of disembodied voices pleading for mercy, and of a presence that manipulated both time and memory. The diary of a former occupant, its cover stained by age and neglect, detailed a ritual gone awry, hinting at a silent contract struck with a malevolent force. Yet the writings offered no resolution, only mounting terror and growing isolation. Neath the weight of his disquiet, Jonah began to sense that the mansion itself was alive. The very walls pulsed with a malign energy that both beckoned and repelled. Through darkened corridors, he glimpsed fleeting shadows that moved with mindless purpose, as if tethered to an agenda beyond his comprehension. The pulsing in his ears, the inexplicable chill that seeped into his bones, and the faint echo of laughter mingled with sobbing all coalesced into a symphony of dread. And in that cacophony of the inexplicable, the notion of the Entity grew ever more real, a nameless terror that defied understanding and promised consequences too profound to imagine. As night deepened its grip, Jonah's heart pounded with both fear and a fragile hope that uncovering the truth might bring liberation. Yet each discovery, every unsettling encounter with the unseen, hinted at more questions than answers. Outside the battered windows, the forest loomed like an endless expanse of whispering doom, isolating him further from the world he once knew. And then in the bitter silence of midnight, a sound emerged, a slow, deliberate whisper echoing from the manor's depths, as if the Entity were summoning him, demanding his presence for an inevitable reckoning. As the clock's chime dwindled into the oppressive silence of the night, Jonah felt the mansion's very soul tremble beneath an unseen pressure. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum of war against the encroaching darkness, and as he ventured deeper into the bowels of the estate, the murmur that had called him earlier swelled into a cacophony of intangible voices. The once familiar passages twisted into labyrinths of despair. Walls seemed to breathe with ancient intent, and each step forward was a step into an abyss from which no light could escape. A long-forgotten parlor adorned with fractured, moth-eaten tapestries, Jonah came face to face with the source of his dread. At the center of the room, shrouded in a wavering haze that defied both time and space, hovered an indistinct form. It was neither entirely human nor wholly spectral, a writhing mass of silhouettes and distorted reflections, perpetually shifting in its shape. This was the Entity, a being born of misdeeds and whispered horrors, its dark essence intertwined with the mansion's shattered past. As Jonah's eyes adjusted, the Entity seemed to stare directly into his soul, dredging up memories long buried. With a voice both seductive and dissonant, it recounted the sins of those who had dared to defy fate, its tale punctuated by the sound of creaking decay. Every whispered word carried the weight of lost time, each syllable a ritual meant to claim another soul. The mansion, a conduit for ancient transgressions, had long awaited its next sacrifice. And Jonah, with his own tainted past and fragile hope for redemption, was the inevitable candidate. The corridors themselves convulsed with impending doom. As flickering lights cast nightmarish shapes upon peeling wallpaper, the boundaries between reality and hallucination began to blur. Jonah's mind teetered on the brink of collapse. Was the Entity merely a manifestation of his inner turmoil, or did it truly exist beyond the veil of understanding? Every footstep echoed with whispered admonitions, urging him to abandon hope and surrender to the darkness that encroached on his sanity. In a desperate bid for escape, Jonah scrambled through the tangled corridors, only to find that every exit led him deeper into the mansion's black heart. The haunting specters from the scattered diaries flickered at the corners of his vision, a reminder that the Entity had claimed countless lives before him. Each memory of regret and unspoken guilt sharpened his terror as the walls, once indifferent observers, now pulsed with malicious intent, directing him inexorably toward a fate that was as preordained as it was inescapable. At the mansion's apex, in a grand chamber where shattered mirrors and estranged echoes converged, Jonah's confrontation with the entity reached its brutal zenith. The entity's form blurred and shifted, mirroring the flickering images of his own past misdeeds. In that moment, the terror transformed into a profound revelation. The entity was both an external force and the embodiment of the human condition, a reminder that the darkest parts of our souls are never truly exorcised, merely buried beneath layers of time and regret. With a swift, nearly imperceptible movement, the darkness enveloped Jonah. His scream was swallowed by the heavy silence, leaving nothing but the echo of a life undone. The mansion, satisfied for now with its newest secret, sank further into decay, its corridors waiting endlessly for the next brave soul to challenge the relentless passage of guilt and cosmic horror. And as long as the ancient walls stood, so too would the omnipresent fear of that nameless terror, a reminder that some entities are born from the depths of our own haunted pasts, always lurking, always waiting.